Welcome to a special festive season episode of Rise and Thrive Conversations for Greatness, where we delve into personal growth, motivation, inspiration, and the grooves that move you. I'm your temporary host for this week, Aaron Holesgrove. Today, we continue our interview with the Podfather himself, John Merkus. In part one of this interview, we learned about John's working history, how he juggles his busy life, and some interesting insights into his own experience in hosting this very podcast. Now let's continue our discussion where John and I flip roles and we learn more about the man, the legend, John Merkus. John, no discussion about John Merkus would be complete without also discussing your better half, Renee Merkus, who's quite the force to be reckoned with in the business world herself, I'm led to believe. And been a guest on this podcast too. Yeah, right.
Yeah, she's a wonderful guest. That's in the top 5 most listened to episodes of the podcast. She's in that.
Wow. Yeah, wow.
She's in that group. Yeah, she's amazing.
Now, just because I don't want you sleeping on the lounge tonight, John, and you can sort of go back into the house tonight and say, honey, I gushed all about you on my podcast for the whole internet to hear. What would you say is your most favorite thing ever about your beloved wife?
She's hot. She is. There's heaps of things I admire about Renee. Some of those things are she's a real go-getter. If she wants something, she will move heaven and earth to do it. She also does one of the hardest jobs that you can ever do. She's in IT sales. And what she has to endure and cope with and work through those challenges that she has through the cycle and the process and the ups and downs. It's like a roller coaster. She has to really use a lot of these principles about mindset and taking action in the face of no agreement. Keep going even though you can't see the finish line. Have that belief in what you're doing. Motivated by what's possible, by keeping going. All those things. They're very inspiring and very endearing. And she's
good answer,
hot.
John. Good answer. I don't think you'll be sleeping on the lounge tonight. Yeah, I think you're safe.
Well, the other thing as well is that I can say anything to her, and that's what I really like. As you know, I've done a little bit of stand-up comedy, and a lot of the material is about our interactions. And I can make. I'll say, look, I'm going to say this. Oh, I'd like to say this, and she'll be like, yeah, I'm fine with that. So that time when she swallowed the suppository, that's a whole bit in itself, right? And some people will go, oh no, I'm really embarrassed, don't tell about that story. Or when she brushed her teeth with the thrush cream, don't tell people that. But but she's willing to be able to have a laugh at herself, and she's okay with me doing it. So she's got a great sense of humor. That also helps a lot. She's a firecracker and she's a big personality. I don't know what I want to say about that, but I think I might just leave that there.
Yeah, you're doing well. Yeah. Yeah, quit while you're ahead. Who do you think would win a potato sack race out of you and Ray?
I'm just definitely physically stronger, but I reckon she could be mentally stronger.
Okay. So if it's an endurance race, she's definitely got you. Hands down.
Yeah, let's say yeah.
Who's the better singer?
Oh, I love it when she sings, but I am definitely the better singer, only because I've had more practice, and music is a massive passion of mine. It's not to say it's not a passion of hers, but she's got a particular genre. She likes her country music, modern country music, and that's her thing, and that's great because she likes the storytelling aspects of those songs, and her father was big on that. So isn't it interesting how we talked last episode as well, how your parents have such an influence on you, and he had such an influence on her in terms of music. So I love it when she sings, but I think with my guitar playing and my singing and my practice, I think I might have her there.
Ooh, okay. Cool. Planting the flag in the ground there. I like it. So let's get back into that deeper mindset of John Merkus. So how has embracing positivity and change shaped your personal and professional journey?
I learned early on that if I want to achieve results and be a high performer, a lot of it has to do with what you think. And since I've heard great sayings like life happens between your ears and life's a conversation, you're either having one with yourself or with someone else. The other thing that extends that way of thinking is that I learned there's two aspects to being a human being. There's your circumstances and the conversation you are about your circumstances. And the thing is, the conversation you are about your circumstances has more to do with your quality of life than your actual circumstances. So this is where we're getting back from the previous episode where I'm saying, I learn these principles and I just want to share them with people because I think they're so powerful and can make such a difference. But also, I'm living these as well. I'm not just saying, do this or think this or how about this because I think it's probably good. It's because I'm using it. It's making a difference in my life, and I'd love it to make a difference in your life. So those are some of the ways of thinking and being that it's interesting because we are human beings. I've heard this saying we're human beings, not human doings. And so as a human being, these are the things that have really helped me achieve the results and bring greatness into my life.
Love it. Love it. Can you share a pivotal moment where, like a mindset shift, mindset, I'll try that again.
A mindset shift, that's a good one. That's a good evacuation.
I'm keeping it. Can you share a pivotal moment when a mindset shift helped you overcome a significant challenge?
Yeah, definitely. So it actually gets back to Renee and my wife and being married.
Okay, yeah.
Because I thought that I was never going to get married. I was going to be a bachelor for my entire life, and I was never going to have kids. That was my mindset, my thought process in that area, and I lived my life like that. And then I was in a personal development course, and I learned that mindset and that way of thinking was based off a decision that I made when I was 16 years old as an upset teenager. And when I realized that, I thought, I don't want to live my life by the decision of an upset 16-year-old. I am an adult now. I can choose my own life and my own path. I didn't even realize that I was operating that way. But when that light got shone on that, and that was the moment that I decided that, and I've been living my life like that without realizing it, then I was able to shift my mindset and be open to a relationship. And within 6 months, I'd met Renee. Our story, our timeline is quite interesting. We met in May. We moved in together in September the same year. I proposed in October the same year. We got married in February the next year. She was pregnant in March. So she would be lying on the couch and I'd say to her, you're my wife, you're pregnant, you're lying on my couch, and I haven't even known you a year yet. So it just goes to show you what can happen in your life when you do have that shift and that mindset change, and it allowed more love into my life. And then you got more kids than me, you know what it's like, and I have a couple of kids that are the lights of my life. And without that, so that's probably the most pivotal moment in terms of a realization and a mindset shift, and then the kind of results that got produced called a wonderful wedding, a wonderful family, and a beautiful life.
That's the perfect answer. I love it. So how do you incorporate the principles of resilience and empowerment into your daily life?
I love season 2 of the podcast because it's about resilience revolution, right? And to me, when people said resilience, I always thought it was a bit negative, right? It's like resilience is, toughing it out in the face of crap that you're dealing with. And so that didn't really sound that inspiring to me. But what I came to learn is that resilience is about using your mind and thought process and some of these tools and principles to be the best person that you can be. So that reframing of what resilience is really helped me a lot. And some of the things that I've come to learn is resilient people, they will have a mindset and think there's no problem that doesn't have a solution. Well, there's no challenge that doesn't have a solution, right? So that's a resilient mindset, but also that, to me, that's a positive mindset. So I really got to see that there's so much synergy between resilience and what we're all about. The other thing that springs to mind about resilient people is that they will run things through a filter like, is what I'm doing harming me or helping me? Is what I'm thinking harming or helping me? So resilient people might face an adverse happening. I often use the, made redundant from the role you're working in, because it happened to me. And I know people can relate to that. I could be really negative about that and upset, and I could run my thoughts and feelings through this filter. Is what I'm thinking harming me or helping me? And if I'm shitty, pissed off, resentful, whatever, that's actually harming me both mentally and physically. So the answer to that question would be, what I'm thinking in that moment is harming me. So what can I think of? How can I think of that? Change my mindset to help me. And then that would be, wow, I've got an opportunity now that I didn't have before. Other doors will open up that would not have been available to me. And getting back to that mantra of everything that happens to me happens for a reason and it serves me. So those are the kind of thoughts and mindsets and actions that people take that are resilient. It doesn't mean that tough times won't happen, but resilient people know that they will pass and you'll be able to get through and continue on achieving your goals and bringing greatness into your life. So I'm a big fan of resilience where, to be honest, I wasn't before I realized all of that because of what I said before, how I thought resilience was just hanging on in the storm and
Yeah.
hoping for dear life but experiencing all this crap.
I can honestly say that's how I'd sort of interpreted it myself before you answered that question. But listening to you speak just now, like, I love that. I love that. That really
So
resonated
much
with me.
synergy to who we are. We're resilient people, even though we might not have even realized it. And those are some of the reasons why.
Yeah, I love it. So, what's a piece of wisdom or a strategy you consistently rely on, to create positive outcomes, for yourself and for others?
I remind myself that I can create anything. And that's a big statement, right? But I can
Mm,
create anything. It's simply a matter of thoughts, actions, and time. The evidence for that is that if you look around, if you're listening right now, look around at your surroundings. Everything you see, and let's exclude nature, but you could argue about nature as well. Everything you see was initially someone else's thought. This
okay.
microphone I'm speaking into, that was thought up and then created. Everything I'm
Hmm.
looking around at now was someone's thought and then it was created out of that. So that gives me inspiration to know that ultimately we are all creative beings creating our own life and that anything is possible. Anything is possible. Yes, I love these stories about where people. I heard this story about this guy that had a golfing podcast, and he was doing it for years, and he was about to give up. He'd had enough. He wasn't getting good numbers, and he just had enough. And I thought, I'll just give it a go for another month. And then he either interviewed someone or it got picked up or whatever, and then all of a sudden he just exploded, right? And I love those stories of where people, they just keep going because, you know, a lot of success is that consistent effort and just keep going and keep going. As Daniel Tolson said earlier in the season, be that last person standing. I'm reminded of, Harrison Ford in Hollywood. He said, my philosophy was all I needed to do was just keep hanging around and eventually I'll be successful. Being able, having that mindset and having that knowing that you can create anything, that anything is possible. It's just a matter of what you think, what you do, and time. With that recipe, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. And that's the same for everyone listening here. I was almost going to say whether you believe it or not, but it's definitely what I believe. And I would encourage you that if you don't believe that, take on my belief and take on my belief that I know that you can create whatever you want to create.
Yeah, you condition your mind to it, and so then you're going to be. That's the kind of life that you'll be living. I like it.
And things happen because of that that would have never happened otherwise.
Yeah, yeah. I remember having a crazy idea for a film clip for a song. I wasn't afraid, so I just put it out there. Let's just say it went viral. Like I actually saw it, the idea through. acted it out over 2 days, filmed it, and it was extremely funny. And yeah, it went viral on YouTube, such to the extent I was playing in another band where the other guitarist was telling me that he goes, I had a mate of mine come to me going, you've got to see this film clip. You got to see this film clip. And he saw it. And it was my film clip that I was talking about. He's like, you're not going to believe it. I'm in a band with that guy. Like, I know him. But yeah, and it's all about how you apply yourself, right? So I totally understand it.
And that's living life. That story you just
Yeah.
explained there, I can see that lights you up, passionate about you're passionate about it, and that's really living life and squeezing the juice out of life. I love it, Aaron.
Yeah, you got to keep telling yourself every day, but I completely understand. So, what's one misconception you would say about change, that you've encountered in your work or, and how do you address it?
Change takes effort. And I think there's a bit of a misconception that if you just tell people what the change is, that it's fine and we're all good now. But there's these emotional states of change. So often we go through anger, denial before we get to acceptance and endorsement, and then it just becomes part of our way of being and doing, whether that's in the work environment or in your personal life. The thing about a lot of things in life, including change, is it's simple, but it might not be easy. And we are geared as human beings to our default position usually is that we don't want change because we're built for survival. And if everything is comfortable and we're okay and we're surviving and we're living but we're surviving, we don't want anything to interrupt that, even if it can be perceived as positive. Even if I said to you, here's a new house with more room, it's all yours, you would like it, but it would be a big change. And there might be even some stress and trepidation about what the next steps are and all the things. So we are intrinsically wired not to embrace change. And that's where the opportunity lives. So we can look at that, use these tools, these techniques, these mindsets to then embrace change, because if nothing ever changed, there would be no opportunity. The only opportunity in life is in the change and changing what you do, what you think, how you be, the conversations you have. That's where opportunity lies. If nothing changed, you would be the same every day, all the time. And that's the paradox of life, right? Because we want that, but we will be bored shitless, and then we wouldn't be happy about that.
I get it. Yeah. So it's really just about, I guess, when you're talking to people about change, it's really about getting them comfortable, and keeping them comfortable even through change, right?
And having that empathy that I understand it might not be easy. It could be a really simple change. I know it's not easy. In some of my presentations, I show the emotional states of change, and sometimes that's just enough. They say if you can name it, you can tame it. And you might not have seen that before. You can go, wow, psychologically, here are the things that I'm going through. And I'm somewhere on this graph here. I don't know if I'm still in denial. Am I angry about the change? Am I willing to dip my toe in the water and see what it's like? Am I fully embracing the change? And people need support with going through those emotional states of change, but just being able to see it there and having your thoughts and feelings validated can make all the difference.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you define positive change then? And why is it so important in today's world?
Yeah, because I don't think all change is positive. And
Yeah.
what I mean by positive change is something that adds value and makes I was going to say positive, but I don't want to use this the word to describe the word, if you know what I mean. Even though I think everything happens to me for a reason and it serves me, if my house was to burn down, I wouldn't necessarily think that was a positive change, right? I try and adopt the mindset of, okay, I've got stuff to work through now and this hurts and I've got a journey to go on to make things right and get back to where that I've been. So eventually it might end up being a positive change. So ultimately it can be, but things happen in life. So I don't want to walk around without being a little bit realistic in saying not every change or everything that happens to us you're going to like. So it's not all positive change. But the point is, the thing is, eventually, I believe all change is positive because you either win or you learn.
Yeah. Well, either way, you're moving forward, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I was sharing the example just recently of the reason why the kangaroo and the emu are on the $1 coin. Do you know this story?
No, but I love it. Hit me.
Because they're the only two animals in the whole world that can only ever move forward. They literally can't move backwards. Literally.
I love that. So for our international listeners, and on our coat of arms, we've got an emu and we've got a kangaroo, and Aaron just explained why they're on there. And no wonder that's like the symbol of Australia in our coat of arms. I love it. Thank you for sharing that, mate.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're always moving forward through change. I love it. And this is what makes the positive change guy, right? Just you're moving forward every day, one way or another.
Well, it works for me. Doesn't necessarily mean I don't have my bad days.
Yeah.
I mostly have good days, but I do have bad days as well. And that's where I have to either employ these tools or I accept the fact that I'm feeling this way. And then I've got to look at, have I done the right things? Have I slept properly? Have I eaten right? Have I got some exercise? Have I been outside? All these kind of things. So often I haven't done those things, or those things haven't been a part of my life. And then eventually it catches up with you and you go, oh, wow, I'm not feeling the best today. I want to feel better than I am, but I don't right now. So I get the choice with that awareness. You get the choice. You go, I'm going to accept how I'm feeling right now and do nothing, or I'm going to take action to do something about it. So having the choice is really, really powerful. So things are going to happen in my life that I don't necessarily want to happen, but it's all about how you deal with it and what you think. And I'm not saying that I'm Superman. I can get a bit down about some things as well, or want things to happen quicker than they are. But I've got a toolbox and awareness to draw on, and I can choose to use that or not.
I love it. Perfect answer. Mate, you're a fantastic. You should do a podcast or something, mate. Talk about this stuff every day.
I reckon there's something in this, but I'm just worried about my voice. I'm not quite sure if people will really dig it.
I know they do. You got the perfect voice for radio. Don't worry, you're fine.
Thank you, mate.
So, what's the vision then for the impact of, you want to make in the world and through your work?
Really good question, and I've thought about this, and I do think about this, especially in those moments where I think this is overwhelming. Do I want to keep going? The answer is always yes. But, sometimes you feel a bit overwhelmed with life, with all the things that you've got to juggle. Sometimes you question what you're doing. And that's healthy to question what you're doing. My goal is to impact as many people in the world as I possibly can, whether that's through in a positive way, and introduce principles to people that they might not have heard or realized otherwise. A lot of that we've talked about over this episode and last episode. But if I can be that person where you think, wow, I look in the mirror and say, I'm the leader in the mirror, and give yourself positive messages, or you listen to my fluid reality mindset meditation app, and that's making a difference to you. That's my goal, to make as much difference and impact in the world to as many people as possible. And the podcast allows me to do that. My keynote speaking allows me to do that. But the thing is, that's grand, and that's awesome, and that's what I'm all about. And I would love those numbers of listeners and downloads to have many, many zeros in them, and then we're on the way to that. But that also doesn't mean that, when I go to my local coffee shop and I get a coffee, that I also want to make a difference to them as well. So the gratitude and just having a conversation with another human being and connecting on that level as well is also super important. So I just wanted to make sure that I was clear about that, and because I do have these global plans to make the biggest difference I can, but that doesn't stop any of us at a local level with interactions with our family and all the interactions we have in our community, that you can also make a difference just by who you are and what you say. And gratitude goes a long way with that. So making a difference to as many people as I can on a grand scale or at a local level. I don't mind. It lights me up either way.
I love it. I'm getting chills down my spine. I love it. I love the humility. I love that you got the big dreaming, but you're keeping it day to day and local as well.
Yeah, I find that really important because if you think it's like being, in a massive rock band and not remembering where you came from and not wanting to make a difference to the people in your life, and you're just so up here all the time that you don't realize where you started and that foundation that made you the way that you are, and make a difference along the way to as many people as you can, whether it's one-on-one or whether it's a 10,000 download in an episode that you did.
Yeah, right. Are you really getting that many in the show?
No.
But that's the dream. That's the goal.
We're getting good numbers.
Yeah.
Or I should say, I'm getting good numbers. We're often in the top 5% of podcasts in the world with the numbers that we have. Yeah. And also the other thing is most podcasts, this is an interesting stat, right? Most podcasts do 20 episodes and then stop because the initial, honeymoon period, so to speak, is over, and you're used to doing it now, and it's not as fresh and new and shiny as it used to be. You're kind of in your groove, and you're doing it. It's for some people that they finish then. So anyone that's ever created a podcast that has more than 20 episodes is I think it's about 11% of all podcasts ever. So if you've done more than 20 episodes, you're in that category, you're in that cohort. And that's really inspiring for me. And if I'm interested in someone and they've got a podcast and I have a look and I see that up to episode 300 or something like that, I think, wow, respect, because I know what it takes to have that many episodes done. So we're under 100 at the moment, but we're over 50. So we're good. And we are in those top numbers for podcasts, and the idea is just to grow and grow and grow, and using the principles that we talked about, right? So the consistency, the keep going, the produce quality, the mindset that you have as you go into all these things you get to practice by doing the podcast.
Yeah, I'm loving what you're doing, man. Keep going with it.
Thank you, mate.
I did want to ask you about your meditation app. Tell me more about it in general. Like how does the app empower users, to create positive change in their lives?
I'm so glad you asked me that, because that is so important to me, and it's why I created it. So people have said to me, John, you've got a really good voice. I would really like to listen to that as, like a guided meditation style thing. And I had to think about it. And I thought, wow, that's a really great idea. Thank you. And I've heard that a number of times. And then I found a way to be able to do it. So then I was able to create it. So the technical aspects of it got solved for me, which is really interesting. We talked about that before, right? So when you've got an idea and then you want to do something, it's amazing how things open up that weren't there before. So I was able to create that app, and I brand myself as John Merkus because a lot of speakers have that personal brand of their name, and I'm in that category. Before I branded myself that way, I did call my organization Fluid Reality. And the reason I call it Fluid Reality is because life's ever changing. There's a constant flow of experiences and challenges and opportunities. And I believe that just like water adapts to its surroundings, we also have the ability to shape and adapt to our surroundings with ease and purpose to get to where we want to go. Water always finds a way. Fluid reality, it's like a name, it's a bit of a philosophy to remind us all that with the right tools and guidance, we're not stuck in our circumstances. We can move, shift, and transform just like water does. So the app is actually called Fluid Reality. It's a series of guided visualizations. Sometimes I hesitate to say a meditation because people have preconceived ideas about what a meditation is. So if you're down with meditations, great. It's also a guided visualization. Some of them, sure, you close your eyes, you sit in a comfortable chair, or you lie down, and I'll guide you to to greatness. I'll explain a few of the things that are in the app that can help you to do that. But I also have, because you get 2 new ones every month, I also have in the Pipeworks creating things that you can listen to while you're walking. So it's not the traditional sitting down, I've got to meditate, whatnot. You can listen to it in the car, because I believe what you feed your conscious and subconscious really can determine your mindset. So people come to me and they say, hey, John, how can you're the positive guy, how can I cultivate and maintain a positive mindset? Well, it's about what you feed your conscious and your subconscious. And that's why I developed the app, to have those visualizations feeding your conscious and your subconscious to greatness, and in an Australian voice. I'm not the only app out there, but there's a lot of American and English voices, and that doesn't always resonate. So I'm hoping with my Australian voice, it resonates with Australians, but it also resonates globally. So I have a love and connection visualization that we do, and that brings more connection with the people around you personally, and in business as well, if you want to go there. A stress relieving one. So it goes for 15 minutes, and I guarantee you, if you are feeling a bit stressed and anxious and you put this on for 15 minutes and you sit in a chair, you will feel amazing afterwards. Some people like to go to sleep by being guided to places. I take you to a beach and it's really great, and you can really have a really restful, soulful sleep and wake up as more refreshed than had you not. That's been my experience. A lot of the ones that resonate with a lot of the entrepreneurs is the millionaire mindset meditation. So
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
I've been listening to that one a lot. And what I found was it sends a message. I know this is getting a little bit metaphysical, but it sends a message to your conscious and your subconscious and the world that you are open to opportunity, that you are looking for opportunity to bring more options into your life. So it's not all about money. It's a little bit about money, but it's also that millionaire mindset. It's got a lot more to do with than just money, but money's part of it. So, and I really wanted to do that because we can all relate to that. If we had more money, we could have more options. We're human beings, so we always think we never have enough. Even the billionaires don't think they have enough. And what could we do if we had more? So that's the millionaire mindset meditation. If I could sum it up, it's a bit of a personal guide. It helps you manage stress, recharge your energy, and stay focused on what truly matters to you. And it's about becoming better and what you feed your body and your mind with. And I've made it really accessible, right? Because the price was actually less than the price of a cup of coffee a month. So this morning I went for a walk, got a cup of coffee, drank it at the beach. Coffee was $5. So I'm asking people, if you will invest less than $5 a month in your own personal development and what you feed your conscious and your subconscious, you got access to the app. You're carrying your phone all around. It's always with you whenever you need it. It's always there. I'll always be there. You just got to tap, and I'll be in your ears, guiding you with positive messages, helping you with that mindset that helps you achieve that greatness that you want to have in your life. And I'm so passionate about it, and people have just started to access it and subscribe to it. And I'm getting some great feedback already, because it's one of those things where you want to do it. You know there's going to be benefits if you actually did it. And I've tried to make it as accessible as possible. And a lot of these visualizations are just 10 to 15 minutes, because I know we're all time poor. And if I said we've got to do it an hour a day, even myself would go, oh man, that sounds like a bit of a burden. And I'm going to make smaller ones for 5 minutes as well. So like mini ones as well. So there's plenty coming. And that's why it's a subscription system, because I'm just going to keep adding to those visualizations every month. And I'm loving it. I'm gushing about it, I know, but I'm just really so happy about it. And I'm glad it's out in the world.
I am too. Yeah, that millionaire mindset one really stuck out to me, particularly like in terms of a tool for success and transformation. Like, why would you say specifically why that's powerful?
Because it's about bringing abundance in your life in all levels, not just not just financial abundance. And shifting your mindset towards prosperity and removing limiting beliefs, that helps cultivate a level of greatness that you can bring into your life and have that abundance mindset. So it translates not just for money, but also bring more love and abundance into your life, more of the things that you want to have in your life. It's really interesting how that shifts. You have to listen to it to experience. I can gush all about it, but I would encourage everyone. In fact, what I will do is, if you're not sure whether you want to subscribe to the app or not, but you want to hear that millionaire mindset one, if you email me, john@johnmerkus.com, I will send you just that one so you can listen to it. And if that's something that is of value to you, I'll send you that for free. And if that's of value to you, hop onto the app, subscribe to that for less than a cup of coffee a month, and then you'll have that and all the others available to you.
Unreal. I'm glad you're doing it, man. I'm glad you're doing it. So it's like you're able to really summarize a lot of this stuff that you stand for and believe in, and be able to help people have that really sink into their brains. That's a cool thing.
I write these meditations myself, so
Yeah.
I love that process as well. Like, what can I say and what messages on a conscious and subconscious level can I deliver that's going to make the most difference to the person listening? And I've got some crackers coming up, so I've just got to get in front of this microphone, do more recording, do more editing. And the good thing about the app is, once I've recorded it, it's such an easy process for me to add it to the app. People have said, "Oh, what's the difference between your app and others that might be out there?" Well, for a start, this app is exclusively my voice. I'm not on any other app. It has fresh content coming all the time, and it's written in such a way that I want to impact and make the most difference to you listening. It's got that personal touch to it, because when I'm recording it, it's like I'm delivering it to one person, not delivering it to thousands of people. I'm delivering it to you, the listener. Just like you're probably by yourself now listening to this, I'm delivering this to you personally.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I've got 2 more questions for you, Johnny.
Sure, mate.
So you preempted this one earlier in our discussion, where if we think back to that 18-year-old Johnny Merko that we were talking about, out of high school, if you could 30 seconds, for 30 seconds, you could jump back in time and speak to that 18-year-old Johnny, what would be some advice that you'd have for your old self? After becoming everything you've become and lived the life that you've lived.
I'd say stop worrying. It's all going to be okay, and it always works out. Friend of mine, that's his mantra. It always works out, and I borrow that sometimes. It always works out, whether you think it is or not, or what. It always works out. It always works out. That's what I'd be telling myself, and I'd also tell myself, don't worry about relationships and trying to chase relationships all the time, which I used to do as a youngster. And I would also say, look after your body more, and don't drink and smoke as much as you did when you were a kid. So I wouldn't have taken any of that advice, because I was a kid, right? And when I was a kid, I was a young adult, and I knew it all. And I was just out to party and have a good time, and then I'd worry about things, wondering about my future, which is just normal as a human being. But if I could go back, and if I would actually listen, which I probably wouldn't, but if I would actually listen, I would say those things. Don't worry, look after your health a bit more, and don't be chasing relationships all the time because you're good enough. It was almost looking for that, worried that you were going to end up alone, not worried, but needing that validation from a partner that you're actually a nice human being and a good person. And that when you get a bit older and a bit wiser and you do some of this work, you realize that you're enough and you're okay. It takes a bit to get there, and sometimes you might not always feel like that, but essentially I have a knowing that I'm enough and it's okay and that everything's going to turn out. And that's what I would tell my younger self.
I love it. Now, my last question for you, Johnny. It's interesting to ask you this question now that you've been a guest on this podcast. It's a question that you yourself have asked a lot of guests that you've had on this show.
Yep.
And it's this: what song energizes you that could be added to the Merko motivation playlist?
How cool is that? So thanks for asking me that question, because music is motivating. Music elicits emotions, changes your brain waves when you're listening to it. When I'm singing to a song or singing, it actually makes me feel good because I'm vibrating in my own body. I'm breathing more deeply than I would because I'm singing. So there's so many benefits about singing and music, and you probably all know that, just because that's your own experience. But that's part of the reasons why I love it and why I created the Merko motivation playlist. And I've put some of my favorites on there. The one song that I would love to come out on stage to is AC/DC Shoot to Thrill. It's so energizing and pumped up. Let's not worry too much about the lyrics, because the first line is, "Oh, you women." But the actual music itself, it's so energizing and so uplifting for me. And I'd always wanted to walk out on stage with that song playing. And that's one of many. There's a song on the Merko Motivation playlist, and it goes, it's about, it's your time and now's the time. Songs like that I just really dig, because it really gets me going. And I'm fortunate enough to have a love of all genres of music, so I'm not limited by I know you and I like hard rock, but I also can get into some classical stuff. There's a classical guitar piece called the Adagio something. I'll put it in the show notes. It goes for about 13 minutes, takes you on a journey. It's also really inspiring. It might not be that, I can do anything kind of inspiring, but it just kind of lifts your soul as well. So I would also, I'll put that one in there as well. And I'll put both of those songs in the Merko Motivation playlist. And another reason why I love that playlist, Aaron, is because when I listen to that, so when I hear Bullet for My Valentine, I think of you. When I hear ABBA Dancing Queen, I think of Emily. So all the guests, I can tie that back to the songs that they've picked, and it's really uplifting for me just to listen to that playlist.
Yeah, you got to keep it going. It's been good fun. Well, John, I think we achieved the outcome that we're looking for, right? We gave you a lot of space to really sort of let your listeners get to know you. We've heard about your history. We've heard about your mindset. We've heard about your home life. We've heard about your lens of this podcast, and we've heard about your meditation app. We've learnt so much about you, and this has been a great conversation. Thanks for taking the time to let your listeners get to know you better.
Aaron, you're an absolute legend. And when you put this to me, I thought, what a wonderful idea. But it's typical you, right? You want the best for other people. That's why you would come to someone like me and say, hey, John, I can see that this would be of benefit. Why don't we do something this way and have a bit of fun doing it? And that has been an absolute joy. I want to thank you for creating this. I've had such a good time doing this with you. You're just fucking awesome too, mate.
Thanks for that, buddy. Look, I remember back in the day, you've been saying for a long time you've been wanting to do a podcast, and I was so thrilled. When you actually did it. I've been one of your biggest supporters, so I'm always happy to do whatever I can to contribute to this being successful. It's been an awesome year for Rise and Thrive Conversations for Greatness. Looking forward to seeing what we do with it next year. Thanks for the chat, Johnny.
You're welcome on the show anytime, mate. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Rise and Thrive Conversations for Greatness with John Merkus. Remember, you are loved, you are worthy, and you do matter. Embrace the journey of personal growth and motivation. Let's go out there and do something great. Follow or subscribe for more insights and inspiration every Tuesday. Until next time, stay awesome.